Think we're live. Think it's happening. What's up, you guys? Hope everybody's doing great. Welcome to another Tuesday night coding stream. Mostly fun, Welcome. At any time, you guys could ask any questions, whatever you like. But we're gonna have fun, as always. Watch me fail on live television. Why not, But I'm building a project slowly over time. So I'm gonna show you kind of what we're doing if you're jumping in, if you're brand new, that idea, and we'll talk more about the project itself, kind of what we're doing. But if you've been following live streams, we creating a project manager. At least that's the idea. That's the idea, where you'll be able to add teams, add projects, manage projects, and we accomplished a few things. I'm going to show you what we accomplished. I'm going to pull up the mirror page. And the most important thing, like the reason why I do this live stream is, number one, it's a great way for me to learn, as well to chat with you guys. I want to encourage you guys working on your own projects. And there's something somebody introduced me to, this idea of learn in public, which is kind of like something that we think about and do kind of. But it's something to encourage you guys to build things, and whatever you learn, just share it with the world. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel it's a good way to practice, kind of figuring things out. Like, of course, I'm going to make mistakes on the stream. Of course, I'm going to mess up, right? Of course, someone smarter than I am, pretty much everybody smarter than I am, is going to come in the stream and be like, that's not how you do it. And I'll be like, that's okay. Like, well, how should I do it? It'll be a learning experience for me as well. And so the reason why I do these live streams is to get comfortable talking about the code that I write, and more importantly, just having fun on the stream. That's kind of like the whole point. But even beyond that, it's like, hey, if you guys learning to code, don't be shy about sharing what you're doing. Don't be shy getting out there and kind of work on stuff and, share it with the world. There's nothing wrong with that. Excuse me. I'm going to cough a little bit. And so, quick review before we jump into it. And you guys say hello. Let me know how everything works. Alex, what's up? He likes the cup. Yep, the cup is pretty legit. So is this decaf coffee. What's up, Brian? Can't stay, just stopping to say hello. Hey, that's okay. You could be always able to rewatch these streams. If anybody's interested in doing that, it's no big deal. And Edward, what's up? And so anyway, we're gonna get to it. And again, regardless how many people join us, even if it's 0, it's still fun for me because I'm still coding. I still get to do stuff. And if you guys kind of learn something out of the stream, get something out of it, that's a bonus. But more importantly, don't be shy. Ask questions, chat. But I'm going to quickly showcase like what we're doing here. So originally I started this project for the front end. We're using React.js. We're using REST API, which is done with Strapi, which I'll talk more about it. To style our application, we're using style components and Tailwind. And for our backend, like I said, we're using Strapi 4 and we're making REST API calls. For database, we got Postgresql. And eventually when we do host images, we use Cloudinary. And the backend is deployed on DigitalOcean and the front end is deployed on Netlify. And the first thing that I did is, when starting a project, very important not to go too wild, not to go too crazy. So I came up with the basic functionality, like what is the first thing that I want to work on to get minimal viable product. What do I want? So I wanted you to be able to log in. I wanted you to be able to sign up, and I wanted you to be able to create a team, delete a team, update a team, and of course show the team. So the things that you see in green here is the stuff we already accomplished. We accomplished the login, we accomplished the logout, we got all the CRUD for the team, and what we're going to work on today is registering our account. And we already created like the mocks. We have the login page, sign up page, and the teams here. And I'll quickly show you this. By the way, this application is also live. If you guys are curious, that's where the live version of the application lives. So if you're curious, you guys could check it out here. I could put it in the link for you guys. And if you guys curious, that's the front end. But for our back end, I mean, still on the front end, this is what we have. We have our sign in form. Today we're going to work on hooking up the sign up form. Last stream we got the back end to work, so this stream we're going to put everything together. Hopefully it's not going to break. But you could also sign in. We have I think I'm a user. Sign in so you guys could see here. Yep, and this is what we have here right now. The only thing that we have hooked up right now is Teams. Users is kind of hard-coded, but Teams is pulling data from our backend. If I go to localhost, I think it's 1337, and I'm using Strapi because it's amazing. And the reason why I'm using Strapi, by the way, because there's so much stuff to do. Like, why not stand on shoulders of giants, right? And not create your backend from scratch. Like, we're working on pretty complex full stack application. Why not lean on Strapi, which is amazing CMS and API that you guys could use, and allows you to have this beautiful backend where you could see the data that you have, but we're still gonna add everything programmatically. And by the way, you could customize this to your heart's desire, which we will see on the stream as well. And so this is the data we have. Paul's team, Tuesday, live stream team. So I'll go back to the application here, and as you can see, I could add a team, right? Submit. Here's my team here, and what's cool is it automatically, from the work that we did, gets added to our back end here, right? And in the front end, we also have the ability to edit, right? Edit 1, edit 2, whatever, to save time, save. And what's cool, all that data gets propagated to our database. See, this is the backend view if you wanted to see it. And we could delete stuff. So we basically have full CRUD functionality with the teams. We're able to log out. And so today we're going to work on the sign up form. So the idea here is for us to be able to, and let me say hello to a few people. Horace, what's up? Northern Chimp, what's up? Good to see you guys. And so today we're working on the sign up form. And majority of this is done when we did the mock-up here, but I'll walk you guys through the code first, and then we'll start adding the functionality. But it's going to be very similar in function as our oh my god, I got the hiccups, sign in form. All right, and so let's kind of go ahead and look at the code. So this is our first of all, yeah, that's good. We'll start here. So this is our sign up form. Make sure you guys could see it. Let me know if you want me to make it bigger, smaller, I guess. I don't know. So this is our sign up form. And we're importing some of the components that we're going to use here, which are from our styled components. And we're just going to get to the component here. So I have here the basic React component. And for now, we're going to talk about that later. But we basically have state for form data, which is basically initial form data that we expect. We expect to get a first name, last name, email, and password. Then we also have initial form state, error state here. So initially right now we have no errors. For instance, if you change the state here to true, I think first name should have an error. Let me refresh. Go to sign up. As you can see, bam, it's error. So initially, everything is false. So no errors. And we have a function here to handle input. Basically goes off the name of the input. If you look here, we have our first name, last name, and we're calling that handle input change. And that's what will save whatever data we enter in the field. We'll save it into our form data. And we have some basic validation that we're using here. And if you guys want me to go through more detail, I could go through these, but we talked about these before. Basically, this checks the form if, for instance, if we don't enter all the information. So if I go back here and I try to hold on, let me refresh this. If I try to register, okay, let me go back here. Let me fix this here. We don't need this right now. Let me refresh. Okay, so if I go to sign up, if I click register and you don't provide the data, it will show the error. So you obviously have to fill in the information. So if we put our first name, our last name, if we put our test email at email.com, whatever, and our password. So when we click register, we're going to get the data from this form. And so we want to pass this data to our backend to create a user. So before we do that, let's first console log and see what we're getting. So if I click register, nothing happens because what we're going to do is we're going to console.log. We're going to console log form data, just to kind of make sure data to send, to make sure that we are getting the data from our form. Okay, and let's kind of go inside this block. For now, we don't need to use this, and I'm gonna console log inside the blog, making sure there's, so basically this should show us, are we getting the right and correct data from our form? And if we are, we could move on to the next step, because we know our form is connected, we know that our form works. So let's double check that. Let me open the inspect window. And hey, Vinyl Guy, what's up? And yeah, by the way, I hope you guys are all doing good and great. Property of users undefined, I get it. We'll figure that out later. So we go to our sign up form. So right now the goal is to kind of see, is our form working? So let's put some data into it. Paul Bratz. Let's do test at email.com and test user. So when we click register, all right, cool. So we're getting the data in a form that we need, and this is the data that we need to be able to register our account. And so now what we need to do, we need to send this data somewhere, right? We need to make a post request to the API, to the backend, to process this data. Now, if we take a look at our sign-in account, sign up form, we're kind of using similar logic. So if you go look at the handle form submit, we literally gonna follow same process here. And as you could see, I'm calling here login function, where we provide the login payload. And that's coming from our hook that we made a while ago. We have this use fetch mutation. This is a hook that I created, which allows me to basically do any post or update or delete requests. I kind of obfuscated it inside a hook. So if you go to use fetch mutation, basically all it is a custom hook that will allows basically do a very simple fetch response, where we passing the URL to the endpoint that we want to hit, and we passing options. And it's that simple. And we basically returning a callback function that we could use. And we also have access to the data, loading, and error, which are all the states from our use fetch mutation. So what we're going to do for simplicity here, I'm going to go to sign up form. And the reason why I'm going back to the sign in form is because I want to show you that whenever you do stuff in code, you want to find these patterns that work. And so the basic pattern here is we have our handle form submit, we're checking for error, and then we're calling our custom hook. And so what I'm going to do for the simplicity here, just to show you that you guys know how slow I type. So to kind of save our time, we're going to go to sign up form. Look, the pattern is similar, handle form submit, and we are doing the same thing. So all we have to do, I guess I could type, we're going to call that custom hook function. So the first thing I want to do is import it, and I think I called it use fetch mutation. So const, I don't remember if I did named import or default mutation. Oh my god, why is my autocomplete does that? Now let me look. Let me look. So whenever you do export default, right, that's the default export. If you do it without the default, then you have to put your name as a name import, so you got to put it inside the quotes. But because I'm doing default, I just have to put use fetch mutation. So I'll show you what I mean. So I go to sign up form, and I'm gonna, first thing I'm gonna do is import use fetch mutation from our hook. And now we're going to use this hook. So if we look at our hook here that we created, it returns a callback function, which could be named whatever we want. And we're also getting back data, loading, and error. So this is like what we're going to expect from our return. So when we're here and we're going to use our use fetch mutation, we're going to expect from it the name of the callback function. We could give it whatever we want because it's in an array format. So we could call it register user, and then we also getting our objects for our data, loading, and error state. And this is from our use fetch mutation. And what we have to pass inside here is our URL that we're going to use. And I'm going to, let me look if you guys have any questions. Hey, that's awesome, Simon. And you're welcome. I guess, you know, like I'm going to do these live streams regardless. You know, I really just want to continue coding, and I want to do these lives because I want to make sure that you guys, you know, see that, hey, it's okay to code your own personal projects. It's okay to fail miserably, because that's how you learn. And so I want to kind of make sure that you guys don't wait for that time. When am I going to be good enough to start doing something? You just start doing something. If you make mistakes, you make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. But yeah, no, awesome. I'm glad you guys like it. And this is like a great time to ask questions. I may not have all the answers, but it's a good time to ask questions. And so I do have, I forgot where I put it. In my config.js, I have the base URL, which is basically the base URL for my local environment. So let me import that. Let me go here. Oh, we're going to sign up form. So import. And by the way, when I code, like I focus on making things work first, and then I refactor. So, and I suggest you guys do the same thing. Like a lot of times when people code, they always like perfection. We got to go for perfection. No, you got to get it to work first. So we have access to our base URL. And so I'm going to make a const, which is going to be const register URL, which is going to take our base URL, and it's not going to be API users. I'm going to show you where. So basically what we want to do, we want to hit a route that is going to trigger the register controller in the backend. And basically here's our backend code. And don't worry if some of this doesn't make sense. It's okay. That's why I do these live streams. We talk about it more and more and more. So this is our register controller that we worked on last stream. And we extended it to be able to get username, password, email, first name, and last name that we pass, and then we create a user. So this is the backend endpoint. And what happens if we now scroll down here, we have a route here, and this is the route that we're going to hit. So we're going to go to auth local register user, which is going to fire this controller here, and that we have for our register user, and then it's going to run the code here. And I know that we're going to have an issue here, so don't worry, we'll come back here. But I'm going to put a console log here. From controller. And that's good. So let's see if anybody has anything to say. Nope, that's fine. So I'm just going to keep plugging away. Let me take a sip of my coffee. And yeah, by the way, guys, if you're building cool stuff, you're building projects, I'm always looking to get people come on the live stream and share what they're building, talk about what they're doing. So if you ever want to do portfolio review or just share what you guys are doing, let me know. So we want to make sure that we're hitting the right endpoint. So now our register URL is going to combine our base URL with the rest of the URL that we need to hit that controller, and we're going to pass it into our use fetch mutation. And so what I'm going to do for now here, let me close the stuff that we don't need. So we're going to see if we could actually hit the controller first. Even if we don't write the data, I'm sure we're going to have errors as always, but we're working in form submit here. So here, we're going to call our function register user, not register user. What the hell did I call it? Yeah, register user. Why doesn't register user? And inside here, we're going to pass our form data. Now, I'm telling you, this is not going to work, but we'll take a look at why. But at least you could see if we're going to hit our controller or not. So, and when that happens, when we hit this controller, our use fetch mutation hook is going to return a couple of things. It's going to return the data, loading state, and error. So we have access for loading. So let's say when our form is loading, let's disable all the fields so people can't hit submit again. I think that'll be nice. So if you wrap all your inputs with field set, you could just put disabled on the actual fields here. So I'll actually show you here. Like, check this out. If I put true here, I think all of our form is going to be disabled. So let me refresh, go to sign up. Notice how I can't enter anything, like the form is disabled. I can't click register. So that's what field set does. Like if you wrap all the inputs in field set and make it disabled, like you're literally disabling all the inputs and items. And this is good like when you're submitting the form, because you don't want people to spam the register button, and that's where we're going to do it. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to set it to the loading state. So whenever our component is loading, the form is going to be disabled. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to actually, let me go back here, sign up form. Sign up form. Yep. So this should be like a register. I don't know why it says button. Oh no, this is where's the button? Here, register. So when someone clicks this register, it's going to submit the form. So let's take a look where we are. Let's see what's going on. And I'm pretty sure things are going to go wrong. Yeah, and don't look up. It's actually, he says, like, I like how Apollo handles state too. Yeah, and this, by the way, we're using REST. We're not using GraphQL here. But if you worked with, like, Apollo on the front end, I'm kind of trying to mimic that with my own custom hook. And the reason why I did this is if in the future we will make this GraphQL, this is not going to change. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of cool from that standpoint. Dude, I get it. You know, it working and then also coding when you get home, it's a lot of work. And what I'm gonna talk about it more like on the Saturday stream, like when we do more of like the how to get hired. This is more on coding, but I want to encourage you guys definitely putting content out there. And there's this idea that I didn't think there was like a words associated with it, but there's this thing called learn publicly or learn in public, which is basically everybody should be basically writing the process of learning and sharing with the world what they're learning, because it's going to help you through teaching get better. And I think this is what I've been doing without realizing what I was doing. And let me tell you, like, I don't do these live streams. Like a lot of people like, oh, Paul, he does this live stream because he loves us so much. He wants to help us. Granted, I do love you guys, but I don't do these live streams like to be like, oh, maybe somebody's going to kind of find some use out of it. I'm glad that people are finding use out of it, but I'm doing these live streams like literally this is me learning in public, me practicing out loud. And by the way, the reason why I like to do it this way is because it allows me to get feedback from you guys, especially if someone knows more than I do, and it just kind of teaches me to be comfortable doing this live. So basically, let's see what happens. I'm pretty sure our application is going to break. So I'm going to put Paul Bratz test email at email.com test user. So ready, things are gonna blow up. I could feel it. So we're gonna click register. And so the first thing, we get a 404 here because I'm assuming my URLs are working. By the way, guys, did you know that you could debug stuff inside Chrome? I think this is kind of cool because so you could literally, you know, I'm already, this is like use fetch mutation GS. I could, I think it's P. I could look in, was it sign up? Sign up. We're in register, right? Register. So you could like find the file that you working in. Sign up. No, we're in sign up. I name things terrible. Sign up. Let me check. Let me check here. What's the name? Sign up form. Why is it not finding my, because I can't spell. Sign up form. So what's cool, like, guys, look, check this out. You could literally set breakpoints in your Chrome. For instance, we know that when we click register, by the way, it's all broken, but that's okay. We'll get there. But we know that we're going to hit this handle for submit button. Maybe like I want to set a breakpoint here. And what's awesome, like after I refresh, check this out. I go to sign up and Paul, Bratz, whatever, click register. Notice how, boom, we're able to set breakpoints in our Chrome browser. And we could like, so we don't have to go into VS Code and try to do that thing, like to mess around with it. I like it because it allows me to like check, oh, let's check what are we getting here? You know, do we have form data here? Yes, we have form data here. We're getting there. And then I could be like, okay, we know we're going to call the register user, and that's coming from our use fetch mutation. And maybe I want to see if we're getting the right data before we call that fetch data option. Let me put a breakpoint here and then click next. And notice, boom, we hit that next breakpoint, and we could kind of see like, what are we passing here? So we have the URL, auth local register your user. And for some reason that URL doesn't seem right. And that's where we were having the error, by the way. If I click next, boom, it fails here. We could go to networking. We got a 404 not found error. And I'm pretty sure it's not hitting the controller. I'm assuming it's not because this is our backend code here. And we put a console log here. And if we check our, look at that, there's no console log here. So we're not even making it to the controller. So we have to figure out where we are going wrong. And it's most likely I typed the wrong URL. I believe I have to put API at first. I don't remember, you know. And again, by the way, guys, like if you guys like, you know, expecting someone to code and everything is perfect, nothing breaks, maybe there's some people that do that. But the truth is, when you're learning to code and you're coding, like, you're gonna run into problems, right? It's normal. And this is why I do these live codes to kind of show you, listen, it's not perfect. You know, that's why, get out there, start coding and keep going. I probably mistyped it. We'll get there. But I'm pretty sure the issue is that, number one, I didn't provide the right URL. It needs to have API before in the URL. It's just the way it works. And then, but we'll get there in a second. And then don't look up says, I'm trying to build a back using Express, SQLize, and Postgres. Relationships are painful. Yeah, that's really hard. And when you're so this is what I would say, like if you try to get your first job, I would focus more on the front end. And there's a reason why I'm using Strapi, because for somebody who may not be comfortable with the back end, it allows you to start and get going really fast, really easily. But at the same time, you could see that you can actually write custom backend code if you want to take it to the next level, which we are doing in this application. So I feel like it's a great way to still make these amazing full stack applications without really trying to bog ourselves down by learning front end and back end at the same time. There's nothing wrong with that. It just does take some time. And that's why I'm always like, hey, let's do it with Strapi. Man, thanks so much. Like I'm passionate about you guys being here. You know, we're chilling together. I hope you guys are drinking some tea or coffee or just having a good time, and definitely ask questions. You know, that's why we're here. So let's go back to our code here. So I'm going to show you where the issue is. So the issue here is that I forgot to put API in front here. It actually has to be API auth local and then the name of our controller. And I got this from Strapi documentation, like literally, you know, and this is like the cool thing, like when you're using something like Strapi, it's open source, people could see. I could go to like Strapi docs and I could like look stuff up, you know, I could be like here, I could be like, make sure we in v4 documentation, vr, go auth, and I kind of say authenticated request. So it kind of shows you kind of what to do it, where to call. And so all their URLs, like when you're hitting the API, they start with the API endpoint. That's just the way it is, right? And that's why it didn't work before, because I didn't put API in there. But you could just read the documentation and see stuff. But now, check this out, guys. Since I got the right URL, we should hit our register user function that's coming from our handle form submit. This register user function will go to our super awesome hook that we made, and that is going to hit this fetch request that's going to pass the URL and the options. So I'm going to put go back to my front end here. What do we use? Why can't I spell use fetch mutation? I'm just trying to find the thing. Use fetch mutation, right? So this is where we're gonna hit the file. I'm gonna remove this breakpoint. I know we're gonna at least make it to here. We should get a response back. We should hit the endpoint, and I want to see what are we getting back. I think we might have an issue still, but we're gonna work it one step at a time. So let's go sign up. Let's go Paul Bratz. Let's call test@email.com. As long as it's a valid email format, hit register. So okay, we hit our first breakpoint. So we are passing form data. We know we have it here, and then that should next go to here, register form data. And so we hit our use fetch mutation, that our hook that we created, and now we're getting an issue. We're getting a response here, not found. We're still having an issue. API register user, that should be correct. And then we could also see in our backend, we're still getting 404. Let's see what we're getting here. And so the bugs start, the issues start. We're still having issues. So header, HTTP local user, API auth local register user, that should be correct. And not found. How exciting. And we'll figure out blah, 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 blah. What is Strapi used for? Well, Strapi basically allows you to create an API really, really quickly with not too much upfront coding. And if you want to customize it, you can customize it as you go. But you can learn more about it at strapi.io. So basically, it's a CMS platform that allows you to create an API really fast. You get this amazing UI to manage your data, and you're able to have an API to which you could make your, calls to get data and stuff like that. And I like it a lot because it allows you to kind of get started really quickly. Yeah, debugging in VS Code, yeah, it's pretty nice. Visual Studio doesn't feel as attractive. Yeah, I normally just work in VS Code, especially when doing front-end stuff. So I'm kind of curious why we're not hitting the controller. We are getting the right, I'm assuming we're getting the right API. I mean, the right URL. So I'm kind of curious why it's not hitting the controller. It might be, let's take a look. So we did create a custom controller. And what happens when you create a custom controller in Strapi, you don't have permissions to use it. You have to authorize it. So if we go to user permissions here, it is authorized. So registered user is authorized. Here's what we need. Maybe I should save it here. Let's go back to our authenticated. Where am I going? Back to our code. I'm pretty sure the URL is correct. Sign up form. Register URL. This has got to be right. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's right. I didn't misspell anything, right? Register your blah, blah, blah. We're getting here. And then we should be coming here, which we got the URL. Let's try it again. Make sure save. Let me restart the backend. Sometimes, like, you know, let me restart the backend. Let me restart the front end. Sometimes things are weird. Restart the front end. Try it again. But at least want to make it to our controller. You know what I'm saying? That would be exciting. So let's try it again. And you know what? To a lot of people, like, they'll watch stuff like this. They're like, oh, this is so boring. Why? But listen, you're in the wrong field if you guys, like, are bored by this. Because, I mean, probably watching somebody else code, to be honest, could be boring. Right? And so, right, that's not exciting. But at the same time, this is exactly what you should expect, you know, when learning to code. Like, this is the stuff, this is the work you guys are gonna do. So let's see where we're at. So this worked great. We're sending the form data. You are hitting the URL. Response. Okay, so still not found. Huh. That is exciting. Why would it not be found? So when in doubt, I mean, when in doubt, like, cry a little bit, I guess. So this local host API auth local register user, we are definitely hitting the right thing. I'm just curious here. Roles in user permission. In reality, this should not need to be, because this is like totally different endpoint, and this should not be activated. By the way, we could try this one, the previous controller. So we created a custom controller because we want to overwrite the logic, but for sanity check, we could just check the initial controller, see what happens, and see where the issue is. So we go to our sign up form. At this point, it's going to be local register API auth local register. That just makes sense, right? That's the controller. API auth local register. Okay. I wonder, see, maybe because we're not passing a option that our controller expects. So if you look at here, right, we're getting back a register user function, and this function right here, it's defined here, our callback, it expects options. So maybe we should probably pass some options. Let's kind of give it a try. Let's give it a try. And again, I'm going through all this because I want you guys to see that the point is, oh yeah, I'm an idiot. I can't pass form data because that's not what it expects, right? It expects options, right? And part of that is our form data. That's why it's not working. It's giving us issue. And I should have remembered that because we created that hook together. And so what we need to do, if we look, great example in the sign-in form here, notice how we're passing this payload, which is using a post request. We're adding the header and we're passing our data. So let's try that. So I'm going to paste this. So we're basically going to take our form data. We're going to stringify it because we want to pass it as body. And we could talk about this more in the future, but for now, and this is going to be register payload, I just want to kind of move through it. And I'm going to make a standalone video, by the way, covering how to do, get, post, update, and delete calls to an API, and then show how to set it up via fetch in React. I'm going to make it standalone video, which will build on this video that we're doing. But for now, we're doing live coding, running into live issues, as always. By the way, if you guys enjoy these issues we're having, you can smash the like button. And by the way, ask questions, give feedback, make fun of me or my nose, whatever. I don't care. But the point is, listen, if you're not coding at home and building your own projects and failing miserably, then I don't know what you guys are doing. Because the reason why I do this is because the best way to learn to code is by running into issues, which apparently I do all the time. Like, literally, I fail all the time. And this is why I make it public and live, so you guys feel better about yourselves. And that way, you guys feel more comfortable about what it is that we're doing. So we're going to pass the options that we expect. So we expect this structure here. And so we're making a post request. We want header to be content type application JSON. And we're putting our form data that we expect to send into the body. And we're going to stringify it because our fetch expects JSON format. So let's take a look where we're at. I mean, let's restart the server just for fun. And let's try this again. Not a lot of questions. That means like my explanation is so supreme that it makes perfect sense. So we go to sign up, Paul. Yeah, by the way, every time I do these live streams, I'm going to make small self-explanatory video just covering one particular item of what we covered in the stream. So like on Wednesday, I'm going to make a video about CRUD and making post request, put request, delete request, and update request. No, get, post, put, and delete. That's what I'm going to work on. And we're going to just cover that. So this way, if you guys are working with any API and you want to know how it works, you guys will have that video to do so. But for now, we're just struggling slowly. paul@email.com. So let's see. Register. Okay, this is expected. Now we should go to the register payload here. And so now we're passing the options. We're passing everything we need to our fetch. So that's a good sign. And what are we getting in response? We're getting an error. Username already taken. That's a great sign, by the way. That means we're hitting our controller. And we could see that because in our backend code, boom, right here, we have we have our error here. It says username must be defined. And this is happening. I'm going to show where it's happening. It's happening. Let me go back here to the start. We'll work through this code together one by one. So we're getting our, let me close this. So this is our backend code. And so this is our register user controller that we made. We're getting from CTX, we're getting our params, right? And from our params, we expected to get email, first name, last name, but it's also checking for username. and we could see the error here. It says username must be defined. And what I'm doing, if you could see guys in my form here, yes, Simon, 100%. And I'll actually show you something cool. Like I used to use Postman all the time, but it's too busy for me. So I actually now use this other one called Insomnia. And you could see that once it loads or breaks. Yeah, so literally like Postman, and you could literally, yeah, do your check your API via, you know, Insomnia, which is basically like Postman. But the reason why I like this, it's way cleaner, less busier. So yes, you could basically check your API using this. And I actually prepared this for the next video I'm going to make, where we're going to see how to get posts using Insomnia against our Strapi API. And by the way, I'll have the Strapi code for you guys to download, you know, so it's easy for you. But I'll show you how to go through and do the most popular ones: get, post, put, delete. And then we're going to do it with authentication: get, post, put, and delete. Basically full CRUD. You know, create would be post, read would be get, delete is obviously delete, and update would be put. That's what we're going to use for Strapi. But we'll do that later. But right now, because we're already in the code, and we're literally want to kind of make everything work here, we're using it this way. But again, I could just use, so let's say like right now, before working here, I'm like, man, I'm not sure if my API works. Let me check my API. So we could use Insomnia here, and I could check my, so register user. I just want to make sure that we're going to the right endpoint here. And we're expecting username, email, password, and we also need to send first name. Actually, let me test. I know this is going to break, so I'm going to test the other controller here, but I could test it here. So register user is the one that I created, but register is what came out of the box. And so we could make a request using Insomnia to test. So Paul Bratz, Paul at email, click send. And notice how that works. We actually get our JWT token. And just remember, look, Paul Bratz username, Paul at email. So I could test my API literally using Insomnia or Postman. And if we go to our backend here, and we go to Content Manager Users, refresh. And here's the user that I just created, Paul Bratz, Paul at email. So we actually did that with Insomnia, which is fantastic. So we know our API works. So let me delete this. So yeah, so normally what I would have done after I completed that API, I would have tested it with Insomnia first, which I did, and I know it works. So now we're actually testing it to work from our backend. So right now the issues we're having is we're expecting username, but as you can see here, Paul Bratz, it's like, wait a second, there is no username here. It's because I want to use email as username. So the fix here is pretty easy. So I'm going to go to my front-end application here. So we're expecting to get form data, and form data has the first name, last name, password, and email. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually make const user data, and inside this user data, we're going to destructure our form data, and then also we need to provide username, because that's what our API expects. And it's going to be, I want the email to be the username, right? I don't want to have separate username. So email is the same as username. So now this should fix that other issue we had. So I'm going to control copy, take this user data. By the way, I could also do this in the backend. So this is a great question for you guys. Where should this happen? Should this be set like this in the front end, or should it be set on the controller level on the back end? Like for instance, this is going to work. I could take this user data, control copy, pass that user data. we're still gonna have some error, but not the same error we had here. So let's kind of try it out. Let's do another one. Paul. Let's do John Doe. John at email. Same password style. Now we click register. Everything goes good. We keep going. Something happened. We still have an error response. Let's look at the backend console log here. I have too many windows open. Let me close Insomnia because we're not really going to use it here. So on our backend, we have a from controller. Oh, let me console log what we got here. So we got another issue, which is okay. We'll fix in a second. But what's happening now, we're getting here. And let's take a look at, let me put this actually here and put it below. And we're going to console log user data. So we're hitting the controller. And let's see what's happening here. Our backend here expects a couple of different fields, which we'll get to in a second. But the question that I had for you guys is this. Should we handle setting up user name and set it to the email in the front end or the back end? And what I would say, I would probably do it in the back end here. So if you look at the front end, we could set username to the email here, but why make the front end do extra work? You know what I'm saying? Why make the front end do extra work if all that logic? So here's like the thing. If it could get handled on the back end, just handle it on the back end, because you want your front end to be only responsible for the front end stuff. So what I'm going to do, instead of setting this here, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually delete this. I'm going to continue to pass my form data like we did before. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set that up in the, where is it complaining now? What am I missing? What did I delete by accident? Oh, I deleted that extra semicolon that we need here. So here's going to be form data. All right. And then we're passing registered payload to our function that will basically do a basic fetch. And so on the back end here now, for username, I'm going to do params.email. And so I'm going to set that in the back end, right? Because it makes more sense. Why make the front end handle it if we could just do it on the back end? And by the way, if you guys have questions, you want to smash the dislike or like button, you guys could do whatever you want. I'm going to code no matter what happens, because that's what I want you to do. I want you to code no matter what happens. Who cares about the embarrassment? Who cares about running into issues? Because this is how you get better. And I'm not afraid to fail live. That's why it's live stream fail, because it's synonymous every time I do something. So now what we should have is probably helps if you spell email correctly, Paul. So now we should set username to our email. We'll have the password. We have the email that we need, first name, last name, all the data we need. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is not going to work. And I'm going to show you why it doesn't work, because there's a couple of different things Strapi expects before creating the user. And I just know that for the fact. It expects a role type, and what else? And I could kind of show you where I'm getting this. Literally, if you go to a content manager, like click on a user, notice how we have here this idea role. So it expects the type of role that we want to create for the user, and that also expects is the user confirmed. So we need to add those to make sure that this works. Yeah, I have autosave every time I do something change in my VS Code, because I always forget to hit the save button. So every time I do something, the project will recompile. That's just because I forget to save stuff. But that's the setting I have in VS Code. But let's come back to our backend code here. So what we need to do here is we need to make sure that we add those pieces here. We need to have the role, which we actually have access to in our params. I could actually just destructure the params, but I'll do it like this. So we have role, and that's going to be our params.role, which is going to be the role ID that our controller provides for us. And then we want to set confirm. No, this is just true right here. And so now in theory, this should work, right? In theory, we should be able to, because we're now getting the proper data. We're passing it. I could delete this, I believe. We're passing it to a Strapi service that will add the user to our database. And that should be all we need to do. We could talk about this code later as the time comes by, but for now, all we have to understand is that this is the data we're getting from the front end, and we're passing it to the service that will add that user data to our database, and we'll be good to go. I mean, I said good to go probably many times, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we fail, but let's try it again. So now, notice here on users, let me just delete this user. Delete. So notice we have no user here. Let's go to our front end, test our form. Let me refresh. Go to sign up. We did it. That's a terrible name. We did it at email.com. Test user for the password. Register. Okay, we can remove this. We don't need that here. Oh, what am I doing? And oh no, nothing happened, but did it? Nothing happened, but did it? It did. Look at that. We got 200. Okay. Our payload of email. We did it at email.com with first name, last name, password test user went through. And for the response, we got the JWT token and we got our user information, but we're not handling and saving that token. That's why we're not kind of switching screens. But the good news, if I like bet 1000% that if I refresh this, we have our new user. Check this out. We did it at email.com. We have the name, title, invitation, that's for something else, which we'll talk about later. Users authenticated and confirmed. So we are able to create the user. So the last thing we need to do is we need to save the JWT token and reroute our user, because now he's logged or she's logged in to our Teams view. So, and the cool news here, as you guys could see when I code here, and by the way, this is, let me put this at the bottom here. We'll come back to that in a second. I'll tell you what that is in a second. I'm kind of cute, like I might change how this works, but for now I'm going to leave it there. So we know that we're getting the response, we're getting the data. By the way, let's do like a very easy error handling here, because we have like if error return. This is not the right way to handle error, but I'm just gonna do it like this. Why is it so hard to type on the live stream? Oops. That's gonna be our error message for now. So we're handling, because we have the error data dispatch for now we don't need at the moment. So we have our, did I misspell error? Did I do that? My VS Code is slow. So we're getting the data. So now what we want to do is we want to save the data to our local storage, and we want to redirect our application to the Teams view. So if I go here, check this out. I know we already created the user, but I just want to show you what happens. If I sign in, right, with the user that we created, I think the password is test user. If I click sign in, no, that's not the password. Are you serious? Good thing I have this backend where I could rename the password to what I think it should be. I swear to God it was test user. So let's try that again. Test user, sign in. Maybe I should refresh. Test user. Attention needed. Invalid password. Did I misspell it again? Message, invalid identifier or password details. Man, do I really suck that much at spelling? Or do we have another issue? Let me try this again. Let me go here. User test user save refresh. Let me go here. Refresh. Whatever. It shouldn't matter. Test user sign in. So it's another issue. It's nothing but issues here, but we'll come back to that. We'll figure it out like we've been figuring stuff out. We'll get there in a second. And I just want to check something here. Application, local storage, nothing here. Yeah, anyway, so we'll handle one problem at a time. So right now what we want to do, we want to sign up and we want to redirect to Teams, right? And so we kind of did something similar already. And here's the thing that I was kind of telling you. Notice how if you look at my sign up form, sign in form, we are following similar pattern, like, and this is the same pattern that we did in our sign up form. And the reason why I'm showing you this is that it's important when you're coding to find patterns and to reuse patterns that work, right? You don't want to make stuff differently the way you're implementing. So if you implemented something a certain way in one place, repeat that pattern because that's the easiest way to learn. And Ken, in terms of Strapi, I've been doing Strapi for a while. They just released Strapi 4, so this project is being built with Strapi 4. But in my previous job, we built a pretty significant project with Strapi 3. So Strapi 4 is the newest thing. This is like what I'm going to use for my backend API. And a lot of times people are like, well, why don't you make your API from scratch? Well, because I don't have time to make an API from scratch because I want to focus more on the front end still. And the cool thing, this is our Strapi application. And you could see we're able to write backend code. It's basically, think of it like Strapi, it's like gets you started. And if you want to add additional code, you can. And that's the beauty of it. It's very customizable. So anyway, we are in our sign-in form. And basically what happens here when we click handle form submit is going to fire the login function that's coming from our custom use fetch mutation hook. And we're going to get back data. And what we're doing here in use effect, we are getting the data and we're dispatching, and we're basically using contacts here, and we're sending that data to our contacts to save the JW token and user to allow us to basically have the JWT token to be able to show that we're logged in. And when there's a user present, it will redirect to Teams. And the pattern is the same as it is here. So I could literally copy this right now, go back to my sign up form and put my, and this is what I tell you guys, I need to import use fetch. Not use fetch, what am I doing? Use effect. And then we're getting dispatch from our contacts. And I'll show you an example here. So where's dispatch coming from? It's coming from using contacts. We have global contacts dispatch. It is found in our contacts, global context. In our provider, we have dispatch. And basically, let me show you here. This is where it's coming from. We have our reducer function. And basically, when we call dispatch, it will check for the login action and it will change the state to add our user and JWT token to our state, which gets saved in local storage. And we could take a look at that later, but for now, that's what's happening. And so if we go here, let me import we sign up form. This we don't need. Inside here, we want to do const dispatch, use context, global context dispatch. So use context is here. Why is it complaining? Oh, because I'm an idiot. It's got to be inside the actual component. I have too much stuff here. Oh, I already have it here. State we don't need. So that's good. All right, so now what's going to happen when we get the data back, we check if the data exists. If the data exists, it's going to pull out the JW token, and user is going to fire the dispatch method with the type of action login, passing the payload, which will be JWT token and the user. And it's going to hit this reducer. It's going to find this is the action that we passed, and it's going to do this changing the state. And the way this current state is set up, I'm going to show you here. Use effect, blah, 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 blah. Remove item. So you see this, when we change the state, we actually set the state to local storage here. And we could talk about this in more detail. I'll revisit this, but for now, we're going to work on the login. And so in theory now, when we create a new user, so yeah, it's true, Engine Boy. Like if people are focusing on full stack, they should build backend from scratch. Here's the thing here. If you're looking to get a full stack job and you don't have like a lot of experience, it'll be very, very difficult, because full stack, just the fact that you could build a backend, let's say with Node, doesn't make you a full stack developer. There's so much stuff that you need to know, from testing, from working with databases, from deploying the application, using things like Circle CI, Sentry to log errors in the deployed application. There's so much stuff goes on. When a lot of people say I'm full stack, I think what they're confusing is like you are a front-end developer who understands backend and the basics of it. But if you went to apply for a job of a full stack developer, I believe it would be very difficult. And this is why I didn't go full stack from the beginning. I went front-end first because I wanted to have the easiest and fastest way to get hired. Now that I'm hired, now that I work, I am slowly transitioning into full stack. And by the way, because you could build Node application and the backend, understand how to work with the API. And by the way, if you use Strapi, it's based on Node and Koa. And literally, if you dive into the code, you will actually learn how to build your own backend yourself. So that's why I kind of like Strapi, because I don't use it just for, oh, let me quickly set up an API. It's actually a good learning tool for me to learn the backend better. But the reason I say that is because my goal is not to be a full stack developer right away. My goal is to be a front-end developer who's really good at what I do, but also understand how the backend works. And this is why I took this path. But if you're looking to get a job as a full stack developer, yeah, 100% you need to build stuff from scratch. But the fact that you build Node, like, because I build a bunch of backend applications with Node and Koa in my personal projects, but I still don't think of myself as a backend developer because there's so much stuff that goes into it. But if you were a true backend developer, like, to get hired as a backend developer is like really, really hard. At least in my case it was. And so that's why I focus on the front end. So, okay, so let's take a look where we are. This we don't need here because we're now calling it from our use effect. So once we get the data back, we set the JW token and the user, we save it to local storage. They will fire this dispatch. And because we now have a user, we should get, in theory, redirected to where we need to go. So let's give it a shot. Let's create a new user. And what I'm going to do, just so we don't get confused, I'm going to go to users. I'm going to delete this user here, delete, confirm. Let's go to our React application, refresh. So let's create a new user, test user, I think I already have. Yeah, let's do test user at email.com. Test user, register, boom. And so notice what happened. We we're able to create a user. Once the user logged in, it took all that information, and we have the token. So this is our authorized user, and because we have the user in local storage saved, it knows to redirect to the front end, to our dashboard here. And so now we're logged in. If I log out, we log out, and I should be able to sign in. So let's do test user at email.com, test user, sign in. And now this is broken, and I'm curious why this is broken. I'm actually really curious. Let's take a look here. There's something somewhere missing. Let me see if you guys have any questions. Yes, 100% correct. Yeah, I mean, for me, like literally, I recommend for anybody who's just starting out, definitely go front-end route first. And if you kind of understand front-end for a while, and you're comfortable with it, then you could like, I mean, I've been doing development for like almost 4 years, and I'm finally making the transition to the backend. So I'm curious here why this is not working. So let me refresh here. So we are confirmed, we're not blocked, authenticated, we should have the password set. So what I'm going to do just to see the Polberslavsky login works, because I probably broke something somewhere along the way. So we have username. Yeah, so we should be able to, so because everything's the same here. So let's go to our front end. Let's check it out. Polberslavsky, test user, sign in. So that works. More problems. What's up, Luke? Great to see you. Luke is pretty awesome dude. If you haven't seen the guest appearance he made on one of our live episodes, it was phenomenal. It was awesome. And by the way, Luke got hired working as a ASP.NET C# developer, which is awesome. Very proud of you, Luke. Fantastic. Yeah, we're just having issues here left and right. I mean, we're making progress. Don't get me wrong. We're able to create a user. But right now, what I don't get is why the users that we create, we can't log in with them. That makes no sense. Like, check this out. I'm going to log out. I'm going to go Polberslavsky. The password is test user. I click sign in. That works. Right? And then if we look at network here, identifier, password is correct. But for some reason, let me log out here. The new users we created, let me go back here. For some reason, let me just read. Okay, passwords test user, save, test user at email. Why are we having an issue logging in these guys in? Let's go. Okay, the password we know is testing. I'm gonna, damn it. No. What are you doing? It's test user is the email. The password is test user. Test user. Sign in. Attention needed. Invalid identifier password. So header, bad request, payload, identifier, test user, password test user, response, invalid identifier password. Yeah. I mean, this is why I code live, because I love running into bugs and like crying. I think this is the most important part, is being able to cry about stuff. So I'm curious, are we missing something important when we, in our backend, when we create our user initially? Maybe I'm not passing something here. I'm passing confirmed true. Roles, we're getting roles. I don't know, like, we are setting the password, right? Password params password. Yes, we are. So I'm kind of curious. I'm trying to think here. Huh. Yep. So email. What we got? First name we got. Last name we got. I'm kind of curious here. I'm gonna console log params. Params. And then I'm gonna console log user data. Console.log user data. And see what the difference is. And we're passing user data. I'm gonna check what this returns. Console log user. Maybe somewhere we're not setting the right password. I don't know, user. I'm just kind of trying to think through it here, figure it out, see what happens. So let's create a new user again. Let me go back here. Let me delete the last user I created just so we're not... I mean, we're getting so close. We're getting a user posting to our back end. So let's try it again. Sign up. Yes. At email.com. Password test user. Let me register. That works. Now let's go to our back end. So password would be, yeah, that makes sense. Authenticated, yes, we get the proper role set. Confirm true, blocked false. Yeah, it should work. Like, I have no idea at the moment. We'll figure it out, but I have no idea what is happening. What is happening here? Hey, Algram, what's up? Hope you're doing good. We're making progress, but then we started to struggle again because for some reason, maybe this is what I need to do. I need to restart the server. Let me do that. Restart the server. That sometimes fixes errors. Restarting the server sometimes fixes errors. Not all the time, but sometimes. Because in theory, we should be getting the appropriate data here. So so the user that we created is yes at email.com and the password is test user. Authenticated teams, we don't have to worry. My teams, you don't have to worry about it. So let's try it. Let's try it logging in. Sign in. What am I doing? What was the username? I'm so like tired. Yes at email.com is the user's name. Yes at email.com and it's test user. Sign in. I broke it. That's kind of interesting. Why did it do that? Missing invalid credentials. Like, I'm curious where the error is coming from. So now we got logged in through spamming. That's got to be fixed as well. It's just so weird. At email.com. Let me just try something just for fun. Let me create a new user. I am user at email.com. I am user at email.com. Confirmed yes. Blocked no. Test user. Authenticated yes. Password test user. So I'm gonna create a user from the actual backend here, not from our application. I want to see what happens. Test user, sign in. So that works. So we know the issue is how we're creating a user. Something somewhere is missing. We're not passing something. But what is it? What is it that we're not passing? What? The password should be right. Let's delete this one. So blocked off, confirmed on, authenticated. Role is authenticated. Let me try create another user from our front end. Log out. Test 2, test 2, test 2 at email.com. Test user. Register. That worked. And I like how everything works. We got test2 is the name, blah blah blah. So now let's go to our backend, refresh. So we're able to create our user. Here we go, test2 at email. Authenticated, yes. Confirmed, yes. Why is it having issues with the password? Test2 at email. Log out. Test user. Stats validation error, invalid identifier, or password details. This one is like, I'm gonna have to think about it. It's got to be like we're passing all the required information that we need, right, to create a user. We're creating the user. We're passing the password. What doesn't it like about the identifier? Let me go back here. Refresh. We have username. This is correct. Yeah, it's the password error. It's encrypting the password like it's supposed to. There's so like when I create a user from the Strapi backend, it works. And so like I know that it's something with our backend. So one test I could do is this. Check this out. So I could use the original controller to kind of see if that works. So do like a sanity check. So right now, like I'll show you here for roles, public. We're using the custom controller here. Let me just use the classic register here and see if it would work. Actually, it's not gonna work because I didn't set it up to use the, god damn it. I would have to do that because I changed the way we're implementing custom controller. But anyway, the idea is, yeah, something with the password. There's something we're not setting. And so I'm thinking about it. The password is encrypted. It's there because we saw it on the return in our backend here when we did this. And this is how it saves it in the database. So first name, yes, email, yes. User data. This is kind of interesting here. What am I console logging here? So we have our params. We get the data correctly. So this is our params. Everything happens correctly. We get the password. Then next we have the user data here, which is all correct because we have confirm, true, role 1, last name, first name, email, password. That's correct. And then once it writes the user to I'm gonna try password length, but all the other ones work. You know what? That's actually, that's probably what it is. Test user test user should work because for the password validation, that's probably an issue here. Yeah, so we're not doing anything outside, like it's just required, so we're not even checking the length. But I could try to make an extra long password, see what happens. Like, I'm very curious. I actually just want to try. Go here. Go to our users. Test that email. We're gonna change everything. This is a test at email.com. I'm gonna make the password the same thing. Yeah, that's correct. Save. And then go to our front end. Yeah, even after I change it from the front end, it's not working. So there's something that we're missing that we're not passing to the user. So I am, yeah, I'm kind of like not sure exactly what it is. I'm gonna have to dig into it deeper. But the good news is that at least we're able to create user, not perfectly, and then it redirects us to our teams. But I am a little bit curious why that's happening. Because we are passing the right data. You know, that's happening. So I'm kind of, yeah, you know, I'm gonna keep working on it. Are we creating admin user? Well, so we're creating a Strapi user. There's two different types of users in Strapi. There's regular users, there's admin users. We're actually creating regular users. The way that we have it set up should be, yeah, we have a custom login is not custom. That's why I'm surprised that it's not working. We're actually using the normal login with Strapi. If we wanted to make it custom, we'd have to set up the controller ourselves, which would take some time, so I'm not gonna do it in this video, but we're gonna get to the bottom of it. I'm just gonna try to look maybe at that documentation to see what can be happening. Because that's just such a weird error, because I haven't run into something similar like that yet. And so I just want to think about it a little bit. Yeah, so it's like very interesting. Yeah, like I'm kind of like not sure. I'll give it like let me just mess around again. Sign up. Why this is so fun at email.com. Why this is fun. Oh wait, this is the email. Let me put the email here. Hello. Goodbye. Register. And I broke it again. Oh, did I not start the... Yeah, it would make sense. I tried to save the data. Let me restart. npm run develop. I didn't start the backend. Let me restart the backend. Let's try again. Let's try this again. Sign up. Hey. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about this, but you know what? We'll figure it out for what time is it now? I just want to make sure because I gotta wake up early tomorrow. Yeah, so it's not too bad. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to think about this more. Yeah, login from Postman, that's a good idea. We should give that a try. Like it'll probably run the same error, which will be funny, but yeah, let me try that before I go. So let's give that a try, and then if that doesn't work, I'll bang my head against the door a little bit, and I'm sure it'll work. So insomnia. Let me delete these users, the extra users. So let's go to insomnia. Thought I had it open already. And so we want to register user. Register user. We need to pass Paula email. A username, that's fine. I'm actually very curious. I think I know why the issue is happening. So you know how we set up a username from our backend, and we handled user name to set. No, that shouldn't matter, but I'm gonna try it. Hold on again. Yeah, let me try something. I'll look at the common source. Let me fail first. Oh, first name makes sense. Can't spell name. So Paul Brad's username, whatever, send. So that worked. We just created this person here. This is what we got back from the API. And username, we're setting it in the backend like we did. And so we're getting back the proper username, email. We're getting the JW token. So it works initially. I'm kind of curious. No, that shouldn't matter. Now let's try to log in. Yeah, now we're like, so it's something to do with the way we are registering our user that it's not letting me. So let me just try to Paul Boslavsky at Gmail. Paul, did I have a dot there? Yeah. Paul dot at Gmail. So this should work. Yeah, so this works. So the issue is definitely when we're creating our user. Let me just change this back to the way it was, because this is for something else that I was doing it, but I just wanted to check it. So what I'm curious about is, you know how I said let's set the email in the backend, and I think that's what's causing the issue here. So we're setting our username here, and I think what do you mean by username is wrong? Oh, username is already taken. Yeah. So this is what I think is happening here, because I will have to review this controller. And so this controller initially, here's the thing. I think I know what's happening, but I don't see why it's not showing another error. But I think like I'm going to try something crazy. This is probably not going to work, but I'm going to try something. So username params dot username, and then what I'm going to do is go to my front end, and I'm just kind of curious. So we're going to destructure the form data, and we're going to set the username here to be form data.email. I wonder if like our controller is checking for username, and because it's getting email format, it's crashing. Yeah, username key should return the email, because I want the username to be I want it to be an email. So I want email username and email to be email, and vice like I don't want people to have separate usernames. So when you provide your email, I want username and email to be set to your email, if that makes sense. If that makes about the username. So username should be the email. Username. But so where are we at here? I'm just gonna try something. Sign up. Jake Paul. Who cares? Paul at email.com. Test user. Register. Email is already taken. Let me try another email. First name John Doe. Some at email.com. Test user. Register. All right, so that worked. So let's check it out here. So I just created some at email. So now we're setting the username correctly. Everything else is correct. We authenticated, confirmed. So let's see, log out. And let's sign in. Some at email, test, user. Son of a gun. Do you issue refresh token with your access token? Not at the moment. That's something we're going to add later in this tutorial. For now, we're just getting 8 token, but there's no mechanism to refresh it just yet, which we will have to do eventually. What's provider actually? What do you mean in terms of provider? Let me close this because we don't need this. Not this. We don't need insomnia. Yeah, so the issue is we're missing a setting. There's some setting that I'm not adding here. And I'm gonna kind of make this the way we had it because that's not the issue. So that's fine. Let me change that back in the front end. There's just something else happening. There's something else happening, which we'll figure it out later. Yeah, I'm just not sure what's provider actually. If you remember what line that was on, let me know. So oh, deleted everything. Thank God that we have the undo button. Kind of curious here. I have a couple of branches that I was working on. I'm gonna try something here. I think, yeah, I'm not sure. Like, yeah, I'm kind of curious. Let me. Let me create a new branch. Yeah, I'm very curious. I think it might something to do with user. I'm gonna compare it to like a couple of my other working branches I had. Oops, cancel. I think it might be because our controller is still expecting username, and maybe because I'm not passing it. Maybe reset current to register front end. I'm just trying to see what's the difference between like here. Register URL, that's fine. Yeah, Alexander, that's the goal, is to basically use all the skills that I feel like I've been using at work and combine it into one project. So that's why I'm doing it. And the way I'm doing on the live stream, I'm kind of building it live, pretty much failing miserably. But what I'm also starting to do is I'm taking some of the concepts and I'm going to make individual complementary videos, for instance, where you don't have to sit through the whole stream. You just want to be like, oh, how do you make a login form? And then I'll make a video. At least that's the goal. And then when you're creating user providers being null, check the returning object, which includes JWT token. Yeah, I'll have to. That's a good observation. I'm going to look at that in a second. But first I want to check here. Yeah, let me check this version here where I'm setting like, because in the previous version we set, oh, wait a second here. So we set the username previously in the back end. Let me try it in the front end. Yeah, let me try something. Discard change here. It's something to do with the username. I think like in the controller, I might be expecting username, but that still doesn't make sense. I'm just gonna try here. Where is this? The front end? Yeah, npm. Yeah, we'll mess around right now real quick. So this should work, right? So that works. Signed out. Let's go sign up. Hello. Hey. Hello at email.com. Test user. Create account. Log out. So that works. Let me try to log in with this guy. And then here's saying provider details. Let's go to back to here. Let me log in here with the user that I know works. So saying network was detail name. So it's this one. We got JWT token. Here's talking about there's a provider. Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Provider local. That's a good eye there, engine boy. And let me just kind of go back here. And who was the other? Yeah, we probably need to pass the provider. That's probably true. So some users. Hello at email. Engine boy, I think you're like the smartest person here. So hello at email. The power of teamwork. I knew that there's a reason I should live code to help you guys help me out. So there's no provider on those, like provider local. let's check it out. Check it out. Let me go back to my working branch. What the hell did I save it? Test. I think I saved it as test. It doesn't really matter. So let's see here. Let me select the params. Yeah, I think it's definitely that provider. So console log. Let me switch back to my other branch that I was working on. So that's fine. Let me go to the front end. I just want to, if we get it to work before I go to sleep, it'll be so amazing. But I think it's definitely, we need that local provider. We're not passing it. And registered current. So I'm just going to do a quick thing here. Okay, so this is fine here. So we're gonna go back to here. This is our backend. This should be fine. And then we need to check params because I believe params will include the provider. Provider local. Yeah, so I think this is it because we're not getting all the items from the params. I think that's what we were missing. So Engine Boy, good eye. So I believe that's gonna, hopefully that's gonna fix it. So provider, params, provider. So now let's give it a shot. Make sure everything's running. Because that's something that was expected inside our params from above. And that's the only thing that we're not passing. So Engine Boy, you're a genius. I mean, I didn't test it yet, but I'm pretty sure that was the thing we weren't passing. So let me go to users, delete all the users except the one that we know works. Okay, we could do it. We could do it. Engine Boy, I hope you're still on. This is for you, my friend. Sign up. Test user. I should work at email.com. Test user. Okay, so we're able to register. We're able to log out. I should work. Test user. Engine Boy was right. Some people dropped out. It's okay. Couldn't make it till the end. But yeah, so the mistake I was making is we were getting the params, but I didn't want all the data from the params. I wanted only the first name, last name, the username, and there were a couple of fields that were required by the controller, which was roles and confirmed. And then we also needed to provide the provider, which I didn't do. And this is like very common like mistake to make where whatever your controller expects, you just don't provide all the data and you might not get the errors. And so Engine Boy was able to kind of notice that whenever I used the working email, we were returning back the provider. And then in the other case, we weren't. And so that was like the missing thing, which is good eye, Engine Boy, like fantastic. And that's kind of like why you got to code live. And sometimes like you look at code so much, you just need a second pair of eyes. So that worked. I'm going to commit all these changes because mission accomplished. The only one thing I hope you guys could see that we have an issue right now, which we'll have to fix in the next video. And this is what the next video is going to be about. Notice how I just logged in as somebody else, different user, but I'm still able to see all the teams. And that means I could delete all the teams. And if I log out and log in as Paul Braslavsky, test user, sign in, I'm still able to see all the teams. So if I create a team, Paul's team 2, hey, submit, and I log out. So I logged in as Paul, right? And I log out. Now I'm gonna log in as the other user. Let me just copy paste that address because I already forgot. I should work. And I log in as I should work test user. So here's an issue. Notice how I'm able to see Paul's teams as well. So for the next and the final step after I commit this, the thing that we have to fix is we're going to have to write a policy to only return back the teams that belong to the current user who created them. So if I log in as Paul, I should only be able to see Paul's teams. And if I log in with some other user, I should see only the teams for that user. So quick review here. Quick review here. So what we did is we added this ability to set a fetch request, provide the form data, which basically fire a custom hook. Basically it's a fetch which sends data to our register controller. And here's our register controller that we had, and basically we're getting the data and we're setting the username with the email because that's what I want. We're getting the password, first name and last name, and the fields that we needed to pass was the role, confirmed. And the reason why I wasn't working before is because this get service expects a provider, and because we weren't passing the provider, that's why we were having errors. And Engine Boy was able to pick up on that, so that's amazing. And so now everything works. So I'm going to kind of just remove the console logs, and I'm going to save everything. I'm going to push this to our GitHub so we know this works. So next stream, what we're going to work on is making sure that when you log in as a user, you're not getting all the teams, but you're only getting the teams that belong to you. So that was nice. That was awesome. And so I appreciate all of you guys. I know we go late. I know not a lot of people find these exciting, but I think when you guys learning to code, watching somebody code, regardless if they're better than you or if you're better than me, it doesn't really matter because it works in a way where if I know more than you, you're learning something. If you know more than me, then I'm learning something. So you could see how this is a win-win situation. And a lot of times getting a second pair of eyes is super important. This, by the way, is actually a really good reason why people do PR requests, because sometimes, or pull requests, sometimes you could be stuck looking at code for such a long time that you miss like certain simple things. I don't know how long it would have took me to figure that out. And so it's important to get a second set of eyes just to look at the code. And maybe you're still like might not catch everything, but it's better than nothing. So with that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save everything to GitHub. I'm going to push all the new changes that we made, and we're going to take a look here. So create account, add name, add last name. We got this to work. We got this to work. We did it. So this is basically done. We're almost done with the sprint. So the last thing we need to do is send email, which we'll do not the next stream, but after the next stream. But next stream, what we need to make sure that we do, and it's actually going to be here, is only show your teams, if that makes sense. So the point is we shouldn't see everybody's teams. We should only see the teams that we logged in as. And so this is what we're going to do. We have two things left for this initial sprint. Send emails, which we're going to do the week after. But next week, we're going to do only show your teams to make sure that when people log into the application, they don't have access to all the teams, right? But they only have access to
you know, the teams that are owned. Yeah, Big B420 says, so you kind of did pair programming today. Listen, I want all of you guys to always help me out when you guys jump on this stream, because look, I'm just like you. I'm a human being, prone to make mistakes all the time. And by the way, it's normal. And I want to encourage all of you guys to participate, but more importantly, I want you guys to code as well. One thing that I wanted to do, you can let me know how you guys feel about this, but what I wanted to do, I wanted to create another separate stream where, again, not everybody has to do this, but I want to encourage you guys to come on stream and teach me something about what you're learning. So I want to give all my viewers opportunity that are comfortable to come on and just talk about something. It could be something simple. It could be like how to use, you know, like array.map method, and just kind of talk about it. I want to encourage you guys to practice showcasing like what you've been learning. And if you don't feel comfortable coming on, you don't have to, but I think it'll be awesome to give you guys like a chance to give your feedback, because the most important thing as we learn to code is making sure that you guys are practicing doing what you're doing, and part of that practice should be explaining what you're learning to somebody else. But anyway, I want to thank all of you guys for participating. As a team, we were able to make progress. Otherwise, by myself, I would have been stuck forever trying to figure out that simple error. But I just want to say thank you all for coming on. If you guys missed the stream, you could always rewatch it. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate your support. I hope these streams are as helpful to you guys as they are for me, because at the end of the day, all we could do is just do what we can to become a little bit better than the day before. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much. You guys have a good rest of the day or night, whatever it is, wherever you are. And I hope you have a great rest of the week. And I will see you guys on Friday. We're going to have Jack Harrington come on. And then Saturday, I'm going to have another guest, someone who graduated boot camp, and they're going to kind of give their experience. But with that being said, since it's the end of the stream, if you missed it, you could always rewatch it. I hate when people jump on as I end the stream, but that's okay. We'll see you guys next time. You could always rewatch the stream. Thank you so much, and have a good rest of the day, good night, or good whatever, I guess. So I broadcast every Tuesday and Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So usually I go for an hour, hour and a half. Today almost went 2 hours. And so normally I'm here Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time, or Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So you guys are welcome to jump in anytime. And all these streams get recorded. And so you guys are able to rewatch them at any time. So if you jump in late, it's okay, because you could always rewatch these streams the next day. So, but with that being said, I'm a little tired. Have a good night, everyone. And I'll see you guys later.